So feel free to click on the right side to use the skip ahead feature to jump to a specific section or the examples that you'd like to learn. We're going to be using Python 2.7.4 in this exercise. You can download it from python.org/getit. This will build heavily on the past lessons, so feel free to go back and watch those again if anything is unclear. So let's go ahead and get started and open up idle. So just a minor note, I upgraded to 2.7.4. And so what you're going to do to upgrade to a new version of Python is you're going to go under, in Windows, I'm not sure what it is for Mac, but you're going to go under Python 2.7 and uninstall the 2.7.3 version before you install 2.7.4. And after you do that, then you're going to have to go into your C drive and delete it from the main directory and just click delete and delete it out, and then install the new version and it'll set everything up for you. That's just so you get a clean installation for it. So today's focus is going to be conditionals. So let's say we had some conditional we want to check for. Say if an integer were to get to a certain value. This is a perfect instance where we'd use the if conditional. Conditionals are a way to check for something. So one example of a conditional is using the if statement. If some statement is true, then it executes. Otherwise it doesn't. So for example, checking the mailbox. Is there mail? If so, grab the mail. Otherwise, walk away and cry because you didn't get any mail. What works great with the if statement is the else statement. Else is a catch-all for anything that gets passed by the if statement or doesn't meet the criteria to make the statement true. So for example, if I breathe, I'm alive. If I don't, I'm super dead. So the last conditional I have, besides if and else, is a combination of the two, called else if, and it would fit right in between if and else. And it's else if some other condition needs to be checked. For example, if I'm breathing, I'm alive. Else if I'm walking around, I'm a zombie. Oh. So before we begin, I want to stress the importance of the tab button. Python is super sensitive to spacing, and if you use 4 spaces or the tab character, you need to keep that continuity throughout the whole thing. For using the Python shell in idle, you need to use the tab button, but in things like Maya, it uses 4 spaces. Why? I don't know, but it's something to be very, very aware of. Alright, so let's see an example of the if statement in action. We're going to type mail equals 5. Enter. And then if mail colon enter, and then we're going to type print quotation marks mail time. Enter. Enter. Okay. So here's an example of the if statements. So what we typed in was if mail, and it says if there is some value of mail, then what we're going to do is print mail time. The reason I use print is because I want to start getting you in the practice of using it. Because as we developed Python scripts and files, we're going to be using print a lot more. Okay, so that's as simple as it gets. If some condition is met, print whatever. Alright, so let's go ahead and try another example. And now let's try an example of the if-else statement. So we're going to type in mail equals 0. Enter. If mail colon print mail time in quotations, and then right here we're going to type backspace to go back, and then we're going to type else colon again, enter, print no mail, sad face. Enter, and enter one more time to execute this. And now it prints no mail, sad face. The reason being is because the condition of the if statement was not met. Therefore, it passed it and skipped printing the mail time, and instead jumped to the else, which is the catch-all again. If nothing else, if no other conditions are met, and then it will print no male sad face. All right, great job. All right, so next we're going to begin using operands, which are simple ways of checking or comparing two different values. And we're going to use parentheses to enclose all our operand operations. This is a way of keeping your code clean, and it makes it much easier to debug later on. So here we go. We're going to type in if 4 is less than 6, close parentheses, colon, enter, print, ham sandwich, because I love ham sandwiches. Enter, enter, and then it prints ham sandwich. All right, great. So we found out that if 4 is less than 6, print ham sandwich, which we know to be true. And the parentheses acted as a kind of buffer to keep stuff separated. And sure enough, it printed ham sandwich. Awesome. Let's try one more. So we're going to type in if, open parentheses, 7 is less than or equal to 6, well, 4, yeah, there you go, 6, close parentheses, colon, enter, print, space, wah, enter, and then we're going to go press backspace once because we want to untab it, press L, or type else, colon, and then print 7 is greater than 6. Close in quotes, enter, enter. And now we know that this conditional was not met, so wa was not printed, because 7 is not less than or equal to 6. And so 7 is greater than 6. So let's say that we had multiple conditions that we wanted to check. You can use a one of three words, or one of two words, and or, to combine different conditionals into a single statement. So what we can do is we can type if, and then we're going to go open parentheses 7, close parentheses, and open parentheses, close parentheses with 6 inside, colon, print, yep, enter, enter, and it's yep. Because what we're saying is that, hey, is there some value for in these parentheses? Yep. Is there some value in these parentheses? Yep. And so both conditions are met. So the and statement is true. So and is used to make sure that both conditionals are met within a single statement. So the and or the or keywords are used as a way of combining multiple conditionals into a much larger conditional. So if 0 and 4 prints what? Wahahahaha. Enter, enter, and it will not be met because 0 is always false. Another keyword to know about is the not keyword. And we can use if not, and then we'll type in 0 in parentheses, colon, print, yep, enter, and it prints out yep, because the condition was met. And it says if not false. So if not false is basically saying if true, and which it is, then print yes. It's a way of reversing a conditional. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Great job in keeping up today. Definitely take a few minutes to investigate these final examples. They go over a lot of the topics that we went over. So feel free to click on the right side to use the skip ahead feature to jump to a specific section or the examples that you'd like to learn. We're going to be using Python 2.7.4 in this exercise. You can download it from python.org/getit. This will build heavily on the past lessons, so feel free to go back and watch those again if anything is unclear. So let's go ahead and get started and open up idle. And so today's focus is going to be loops. What are loops? Loops are a way to repeat a single action or a few actions over and over and over. Functions are used to repeat collections of actions, or to create a process. So a real-world example of a loop, it would be to wash a dish. You wash a single dish, and then you grab another dish, and then you wash that one, and then grab another dish, and so on and so forth. And an example of a function would be to clean the whole kitchen. It's a whole process of little actions combined into a much more neatly packaged thing. Alright, so how do we use a loop? Well, there's several types of loops. First one that we're going to go over is a while loop. And it says, while some condition is true, repeat the process. So type along with me, x equals 0. Enter. And then we're going to type in while, and then open parentheses to set up our conditional, x is less than 10, close parentheses, colon, enter, x plus equals 1. Enter. And so what this is doing is it's going to be, while this x is less than 10, keep adding 1. Add 1 again and again and again. Press enter one more time and run it. And now it's done. Now type x to see what the value is. And it's 10 now. Because 10 was the condition at which it was no longer less than 10. It was now equal to 10. So this statement becomes false and it breaks the loop. Alright, so as we found, one way to stop a loop from continuing on infinitely is to have the conditional change somewhere within it. And so another way to keep a loop from looping forever would be to use a break. Now we're going to go ahead and type in an example of a break. So x comma y is equal to 0 comma 0. And this is a very advanced and not so clean way of setting up multiple variables. Personally, I love it, but yeah, there you go. And so next we're going to type in while, open parentheses, true, close parentheses, colon. This is going to set up the loop to run forever. Type in enter, x plus equals 1, which is going to integrate the x value by 1 every time. And we're going to type in enter, y plus equals 2, and so this is going to step up the value of y plus 2 every time, and then we're going to set up a conditional to break the loop. If, open parentheses, x plus y greater than 10, close parentheses, colon, enter, break. The keyword break is how it's going to stop. Enter, and then type enter again, and it'll work. And now if we type x, we can see the value is 4, y. The x and y values combined to a value of 12 ended up meeting the condition that caused the loop to break. Alright, great job so far. So next we're going to be dumping into for loops. And it says, and a for loop is basically for each item in a list or range. Do something over and over and over again. So it's a great way of running through a list. So let's type in another example. X space equals, and then we're going to create a list of random numbers. 1, 2, and 7, whatever. And again, we create a list using open, close, square brackets. Enter. So now we're going to type in for I in X, which says for each individual item within the list or range X. Enter. Print I. Enter, enter. And now look what happened. It printed out each individual value of X within that list separately. And so if we want to do any operations, we could perform those right there where that print I is. Alright, so let's combine the power of a for loop with a range. And a range is a keyword function that creates a sequence of numbers. And by default, it goes from 0 up to, but not including the last value you put in. So let's go ahead and type in for I in range, open parentheses, 30, close parentheses, colon, enter, print I, enter, enter. And now look what happened. We've got a full list of numbers printed out from 0 all the way up to 29. So again, It prints up to, but not including, the last number in the range. So let's go ahead and try that again, but this time we're going to include a few more parameters within the range function. So we're going to type in for I in range, open parentheses, and let's type in 10, 30, 2, close parentheses, colon. And so what this is saying is from 10 to 30, increment by 2. So that's from, to, and increment by, right there. Type in enter, and then type print I, enter, enter. And now look what happens. It goes from 10, 12, 14, only printing the even numbers because it's intervaling by 2. Perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. So as you can see, there's a lot of power in using this for loop combined with the range keyword to get very specific numbers that you want that are sequential. So let's say that we had a number that we wanted to skip past, or a certain range of numbers that we wanted to skip past. So here's a perfect instance where we could use the keyword continue. Continue allows us to skip past a value and move on to the next increment of the loop. So for example, let's say that we only wanted to print non-multiples of 3. So we're going to type in for I in range 30, 30, colon, enter, if not, open parentheses, I is %, 3. And so what this says is for every value in the range 30, if the number has some remainder when divided by 3, and we're including the not, so that we're just getting multiples of 3, then we're going to skip over them. And so we're going to type in continue, and then type print I, enter, enter. And so now we print only non-multiples of 3. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, 11, and so on. Perfect. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Great job in keeping up today. Definitely take a few minutes to investigate these final examples, as they really have thought-provoking concepts within them. They go over a lot of the topics that we went over.